Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to keep working on this Excel calculator started the other day. So we've got a scenario here where we are calculating basically information on our mortgage, assuming that we have a $1,650 a month payment, 10 years left, 3.9% interest rate, and this data is being used to calculate the mortgage balance. And you would adjust these numbers on your own Excel spreadsheet so that everything is accurate with your own mortgage. What I want to focus on in this video is the keep mortgage scenario. So this is going to assume that we're going to be adding to our investment account, and in this example, $600 a month at 10%, and we already have $100 grand. But also we're going to be keeping our mortgage for the remaining 10 years, and we just want to see how that impacts the balance. Later on, we'll compare that to what happens if we take all of our investment money and pay off that mortgage early or use some other sources, and see how that can impact our ending balance. All right, well, let's get to it. Now, this can be a little bit tricky, but what I want to do in this demonstration is I want to get in the habit of writing Excel formulas, especially complicated ones, in kind of a natural language so that we can understand the parts. And then we'll convert those into the cell references so they actually function for Excel. So for our investment, the first investment here is going to be equal to the investment we calculated. And we would like to use some cell references that refer to this little sidebar over here so that we can easily change data. All right, well, that's pretty easy. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make that absolute. And I'm also going to go ahead and autofill that down. Now, I couldn't double click on that fill handle, so I will just drag it all the way down. Now, here's where the balance is going to get a little bit tricky. So basically, our balance is going to be equal to and I'm just doing parentheses just to kind of keep things organized, is going to be equal to the original balance plus the current investment. All right, well, that's true. Our balance after the first payment is going to be equivalent to, obviously we had 100 grand, and we also added 600 bucks more to that. So, all right, that's true. Plus, we also need to get the interest on that growth. So it's going to be basically 1/12 of our interest times the sum again of our original balance plus the current investment. There could be a couple slight deviations on how you write this for it to be accurate, but this would be true. And this is, of course, assuming that we're making this $600 investment sometime earlier in the month, let's say, and we're calculating the growth at the end. So it's our original balance plus the current investment. True, that's a sum there. Plus, we also need to add in the interest on that amount, and that's going to get our ending balance. Once we get this figured out for the first row, it's going to be much easier to move on. If I'm satisfied with that formula, well, now I just have to change things out. Well, my original balance is going to be that cell reference, and then my current investment is going to be this amount right here for that particular month. Cool. Plus 1/12 of my interest. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to write it this way. I'm going to click on the cell that contains my interest rate, make that absolute, and divide it by 12. 1/12 of the interest times, again, the original balance, and there it is, plus the current investment. Okay, now this is probably going to be fine because I've got multiplication does occur before addition, but just to really solidify this point, I'm going to enclose the second part of this formula in its own parentheses, because this second part of the formula, this product, this is basically just the interest add-on to the sum of my original balance plus the new monthly investment. And that should work out pretty well. In fact, the spaces should be okay too. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what do we have here? 101,438. That sounds right. And in fact, the good news about this is if we make a mistake, the mistake should be very, very dramatic. It's hard to make a really small mistake in these kinds of calculations. But yeah, so if we had 100,000, we add 600 to it, that's $100,600. And obviously this is a little bit more than that because we're also getting interest on that money. So I feel pretty good about this. Now, if I autofill this down once, it's not going to be quite right. We're going to have to fix a few things with the second formula, because the second formula is not going to be based off of the original balance. It's going to be based off of the previous balance. So I just need to click there. Now the F5, that's cool. That still works. B14 is absolute. That's still accurate. This B14, though, this is going to be the previous cell, the previous balance. And then F5, that's still accurate. And we can see our money steadily increasing. I'm just going to double click my fill handle, autofill that down. Let's just kind of peek ahead. And after 10 years, be almost $400,000. Great. Now let's take care of this mortgage. So our mortgage payment is going to be equal to our calculated or our entered payment right over here. And I'm going to press F4 to make that absolute. And I know I'm keeping this mortgage for the life or the remaining 10 years, so I'll just autofill that down. I could have done the... Now for the balance on this mortgage, we're going to calculate the balance this way. Balance will be equal to the previous mortgage, previous loan balance, plus the interest on that balance minus the monthly payment. And we just have to kind of convert this. So for the first month here, my previous balance is going to be basically my cell B8, which is my outstanding mortgage balance. Cool. Now for the interest calculation, I'm going to do parentheses, and that's going to be B8 again because the interest is based off of that outstanding balance, times parentheses, the mortgage annual rate, absolute, divided by 12 to get monthly, closing parentheses, minus the payment. That'll be easy. That's right there, H4. Okay, enter. And so after my first payment, my balance was $163,700. It drops to about $162,600. Let's try the second row. I'm going to just autofill this down once and then make the corrections. So for my second formula, instead of B9, it's going to be the previous balance. Instead of B9, it's going to be the previous balance. B11 stays the same. H5, that updated perfectly. Great. Now here's how you can easily test if this formula is working. If I pay all of my payments on time, then I should be paying off this mortgage completely. I should end up with a zero balance. I'm going to click on that second formula, autofill that down, and sure enough, I get a zero. Don't worry that it looks like it's a negative zero. If I were to show decimal places, in fact, I'll show you some decimal places. At some point, I will get to a place, see if I can find it. There we go, where there actually is a number there, but it is effectively zero. All right, so I think that's good for now. These are pretty tricky formulas, but this is a key step. And if we keep our mortgage for the remaining 10 years, make our payments, pay off that mortgage steadily, and still only put $600 into our investment account every month, we'll grow that investment account from $100,000 to about $400,000. So thanks for hanging out with me, and definitely stick around so that we can take care of the pay mortgage early option. Take care.